recently got the second issue of the current main arc on the Pony comics, so let's discuss them. This arc, relatively simple one. What it's about is the group of ponies seen here, the CMC, Diamond, Silver, and Snips and Cells, all get lost on a family, or not a family, but a school trip, which was set up in the first issue. Just a school trip. Everyone's out. Charlie offers an award for spotting a special super rare bird, and CMC head off trying to find it. The other four follow along, and they get simply enough. They get lost because they're separated and have to work together, and adventure ensues. Not so much hilarity ensues because it's more surprisingly dramatic for a CMC comic, to be perfectly honest. But they have a moment where they're attacked by wild animals. Diamond falls off a cliff. They're caught in rain and snow and have to live in a mountain or a cave for a day while the adults look for them, which doesn't get covered in the story, which puts more focus on the real characters. Whole thing honestly has a bit of a vibe of Breakfast Club, if you want a completely unusual analogy for it, where it's everyone has the different character type and they don't really understand the other groups that well. So they have a bit of a moment bonding and sharing their backgrounds and getting to know each other, which of course right at the end everything gets back to status quo. But same like Breakfast Club. It's a weird thought that I had about that when I was reading. Is like, yeah, that's unusual that they're having that same sort of situation. And looking up the title of what the arc is, Don't You Forget About Us, so maybe that was intentional. And also, before I get too far, of course the art is amazing, and tops it off with a pick like that. Definitely great art in this comic for really minimal cast, no real detail needed on the backgrounds or anything, because you're in the wilderness, they're climbing mountains and stuff. I mean, you don't really need that in a comic, or that much detail in a comic. So art really stood out, and character designs and all that. This is overall, I mean, it was a really good story. Got to get to know the characters a bit more. I mean, after this last season, we definitely got to know the CMC and Diamond Tiara a lot more, so that was cool. And speaking of the last season, you can probably tell on the covers some glaring omission from the back legs of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, meaning they don't have their cutie marks in this one, which I'm pretty sure is going to cause some fan backlash, because they have to make a mountain out of everything. But yeah, I really don't want to see any other online opinions about that, because I don't really think it's a big deal. I mean, the first issue came out in January, just about 2 months after the season finale, so it was probably announced and had this cover before, and this cover was probably out before, long enough before CMC even got their cutie marks. So it's sort of doesn't make sense with the production lead time on the comics to really get that upset about them. So, yeah, it's a bit of a missing detail, but it's one you can understand and live with if you actually listen to a possible logical reason why it's not there, because it's been it's something that we didn't know was coming in the show, and you know how little the show talks to the comic people, so it's possible the comic people didn't know, and changing a full print order of comics, right at the last minute just because a new detail showed up. So I can definitely forgive them for that. But come on, they're giving us a comic that has a lot of Sweetie Belle time, a lot of Silver Spoon time. So of course, if you're giving really good characters screen time, it'll be enjoyable. Top of that, nothing really too much else to be said about it. I mean, it's really good character interactions for the most part, and just how their character behaves, and what their bit more development on all of them. I mean, really comes across as like a 2-part Friends Forever with a ton more characters than normal. So definitely looking forward to that, or definitely thinking that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, yeah, we came off of a Friends Forever that starred Diamond and Silver with the CMC as background, so additional talk there. But on top of that, but I mean, I look at it like that. I mean, you got two writer artists that definitely knows how to do Friends Forever style comics, so having them work on this set is definitely a good pair. And I mean, the art really came out. I mean, the giant bird picture, that's really, really, really cool. And just that one little nitpick detail about their cutie marks, and that when I got it and saw that, I'm like, oh god, someone's going to be really grumpy about it for no good reason. I mean, yeah, really fun comics, really good use of the characters, really did the characters really well. I mean, it did a good bit of, if you assume that it's set before the CMC get their cutie marks, then it really does set the groundwork for that episode, which is probably really surprising to think about, because the comics were likely worked on in a bubble, and the show was worked on in a bubble, and somehow the comics helped set up the show again, which is quite unusual at times. So just how that works out. But then again, I mean, comics are made to support the show, and so worked really well in this case, even if it was a complete accident. Definitely helps out the characters for CMC, Diamond, Silver, for sure, and I guess screen time for Snips and Snails, but until they really get anything more in the show or in the comics, they're still just good background full characters. Anyway, definitely worth picking them up if you're fans of those characters. I mean, CMC fans would definitely really like it. Diamond and Silver fans probably might like it. So, they're good, simple read. Really good art. I mean, in that 2-page giant bird. I'm surprised that I haven't seen that anywhere in the fandom, because that is a really impressive page. I mean, one of the coolest pieces of art in the comics, which is really saying something because there's a lot of really cool art in the comics, and that one's definitely on the top tier list. So yeah, check it out. Thanks for watching. If you didn't like the comics, or if you want to add anything else, go ahead. Otherwise, see you around next time, and see you when I see you.